Remember when you were a kid and you asked, "Are we there yet?" over and over when the trip felt long to you? Well, it kind of seems like we're in that place now, as most of us wait for this COVID journey to be over. When are we going to be there? People, I think, are experiencing COVID fatigue. We are so tired of the restrictions, the isolation, and the lack of movement towards what seems to be a normal life. While some people are beginning to go back to work, it's not always the same as it was before, and it's probably not going to be. Many of the people that we serve at Hope Communities don't have the chance to slip back into that comfortable way that things were before in terms of their jobs. So some people are lifting restrictions because we're tired of them and we're taking some risks that we really shouldn't take. It's hard to keep plugging away thinking things will get better when there's so many indications that things won't be better for a long, long time. We're going to talk about some of the ways that you might want to recalibrate as you navigate through this pandemic during the show. So I am Sharon Knight, and I'm so pleased to welcome you to our Building Community Check-In today. I'm President and CEO of Hope Communities, which is a nonprofit that has provided housing and educational programs and support services to some of the most vulnerable in Denver for almost 40 years. We started doing these shows as a means of reaching out to people who might feel isolated, might not know where to get reliable information, might need to know about where resources are in their community, and really might need a little inspiration. And we started this format because it allows for some people to write comments in the chat section of Facebook Live. And so that allows us to sometimes respond to those questions right away, and other times to be able to reach out afterwards and make sure that people have the information that they have requested from us. So we're posting these videos on our Facebook page after we're done because we know a lot of people can't watch them right at the time that they are live, but that a lot of other people circle back later and share them with friends who might need this information. So if you could do so, please let anybody that you know who would benefit from this show understand where they can find the link to this video. And also, if they have any specific questions, they can always email us, or you can email us at info@hopecommunities.org. I'd like to provide some quotes for inspiration while we're going through these shows, and a quote for today is from Theodore Roosevelt. In any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The next best thing you can do is the wrong thing. And the worst thing you can do is nothing. You know, I normally wouldn't suggest that someone do the wrong thing, but the thing is, in these unprecedented times, we don't always know what the right thing is. And some people are just frozen, unable to act, unable to go towards what they really need during this really trying time. So sometimes you have to take a leap of faith. You have to take the best educated guess that you can and head in the right direction, even if you might have to pivot and shift your direction along the way. I have a second quote for you. The one thing you've got to do is that you need to always do the best thing you can do, no matter what the situation is, no matter what comes up against you. You do the best you can, and you never give up. You never quit. That's by James Corden. And I think during this time, as the pandemic goes on and on and on, and we get weary of trying to bring things back to normal, we can't give up. And if we try to take a different pathway during this time, we can't give up. And you might need extra resources, and hopefully we can help you with that at Hope Communities. But I want to encourage you to keep on trying, keep on persevering to go towards your goals no matter what. So we like to share a little news with you during each show. And I'll flash back to the last one to remind you that our vision is a community in which everyone has a safe place to call home and the resources they need to thrive. And we have seen that that's been challenging of late. There's been an uptick of crime in the city, particularly in the neighborhoods that we have housing in. And, we know there's been a lack of work, income is down, resources are tight, social connection or lack of it is wearing people down. And so that could be some factors related to crime. But we wanted to see if we could make any changes collaboratively in our community so that we could make our neighborhoods safer. And so last Thursday, we did convene a meeting in the East Colfax neighborhood with police, with neighbors, with community partners, and with residents of our properties to try to highlight what the issues were and also identify some ways that we could remediate them. So we did have our District 2 police commander there. We had council members Amanda Sawyer and Paul Cashman who were participating. We had representatives from several of the apartment complexes in the area, Rocky Mountain Communities, Xenia Village, the apartments that are associated with different realty. There are several of them in that area, and Hope Communities. We also had nonprofits, Street Fraternity, Right on Learning, the Fax Partnership, and East Colfax Community Collective. And then, as I mentioned, residents and staff from Hope Communities who were all participating. Some were in the room and some were participating via Zoom, so we could have appropriate social distance. But we really talked in deep, really complex ways about what we were seeing, what the changes had been over the course of time, what we thought the factors were, what each of us had already done to address the crime, and what else we might do to address some of these multifaceted issues that result in neighbors not feeling safe. So it was a great discussion. We did decide that we needed to do this together. And I mentioned the players in this meeting because it is important that they dedicated their time and attention to this community issue and that they are really willing to continue meeting, which we'll do on a monthly basis, to address and continue to make changes so that we can add greater safety and security to the people who live in that East Colfax neighborhood. So if you would like to participate in the meeting that we call to order in about 1 month, please let us know. Email me at info@hopecommunities.org or Sharon@hopecommunities.org and let me know if you'd like to participate. We really are all in this together, and community safety is not something that any of us can take care of by ourselves. So we would love to have you join us if you have some time and that same commitment to keeping our families safe. Also, I just want to remind you, don't let the weariness of the restrictions of COVID-19 make you too complacent, leading you to do stupid things. So the big social gatherings, the lack of masks, the lack of social distancing has led to more cases. The number of new COVID cases in Colorado doubled the last 2 weeks of June after some of the restrictions were lifted. So we don't want you to be one of those cases, even if you are really, really bored and tired of all of this. I am too. And it's hard sometimes to stay vigilant, but we really have to. CNN posted another story about how to wear masks, and I know this is important because people have gotten sloppy. Again, we're complacent because it's gone on way too long, and the masks are hot. There's no doubt about that, especially if you're outside. But we can't have masks just covering your chin or your mouth and your chin. They really need to cover this full area, nose, mouth, and chin. And also, people are taking them on and off to drink, to eat, to talk, and we really need to keep them on the face, and then when we remove them, to remove them by the ears, the ear straps, rather than by the face, the front of the mask itself, because then we are spreading any germs that might have been captured by the mask. So I know it seems silly to keep talking about that, but the more tired we get of this and frustrated, the more important it is to just keep reinforcing that. So in a little bit of a different news, the Forbes on July 4th introduced a story about unemployment, and they reiterated the fact that unemployment rate for the United States is worse than it's ever been since the Great Depression. It's worse than the Great Depression. The official unemployment rate was 11.1 in June, and that didn't actually even encompass the full picture. For the fourth month in a row, there were millions of people who didn't have unemployment status actually classified correctly, and that was caused because we didn't have a lot of surveyors in the office. They were working from home and didn't have access to all needed. In March, there were 1.4 million people who were misclassified. So you can see how a correction might have to be made for different months. So what we have for totals is that in February there are 1.28 million, in March 1.46 million, in April 2 million, in March 2.3 million, and in June 2.89 million people who were experiencing unemployment. And that was an increase of 1.6 million since February. So I don't share this news to be depressing, but to forecast that the recovery period for many, many people is going to be a lot longer than any of us wants it to be. We also know that Colorado and Denver are facing significant budget deficits due to reduced taxes and increased expenses related to COVID-19 and many other ramifications of the pandemic. The state alone already forecasted that it's going to cut $3.3 billion from its budget, and that's even without considering that there could be another spike in the virus, which, you know, face it, it could occur. It's happening in other locations. I think Colorado is being pretty smart about moving forward with few exceptions. So hopefully we'll be able to keep that at stay, but there's a chance that we could have another spike. So we have to be prepared for that. And surely some of the safety nets that many of the people have come to use across the city to stay stably housed and fed and safe will not be at full strength, and jobs in the economy will not be back to normal for a long time. We know a lot of businesses have already closed, some have downsized, and so there's going to be a slower start to reaching that strong point of employment again. So it's the time, if you haven't made a lot of shifts, if you need to recalibrate, this is the time to consider doing that. And so I'm just going to review a few of the options for you. Of course, we want you to stay stably housed. So you're going to have to pay your rent. Emergency rent is still available through TRUA, which is the Temporary Rent and Utility Assistance. For Hope Communities residents, we also have additional emergency rent funds. It's not a lot, but it could help to pay for the 20% copay that many of the emergency rent funds require. But we don't want you to delay. And the moratorium on evictions has been lifted in many places, and even for properties that are funded by HUD or low-income tax credit funding, a lot of those specialized funding sources have extended that moratorium to the middle of July. But if that doesn't change, that's not very far away. And so you don't want to be caught unaware. You really want to be talking with your property managers if you are in a place where you don't have funding to pay your rent, and if you've been holding off paying your rent, even though you might have been able to because there weren't any late fees and you weren't going to get evicted, this is the time to step forward boldly and take care of those bills. It will work against you if you don't pay your rent in the long run, and even the moratorium did not eradicate your rent, it just delayed the fact that you'd have to pay it later. So we do have more emergency rent funds in the coffers right now, thanks to the governor and the legislature, but still, make some action towards that. So your first step, if you need to get emergency rent, is to contact your property manager to let them know you're in a situation where COVID-19 has affected your employment and your income level. So they will often refer you to navigators if you are at Hope Communities. And at Hope, we have navigators that speak English, Spanish, Burmese, Somali, Dari, and Arabic. And so we know that these are sometimes complex applications, and so knowing the language and nuances is really important. So we think that those navigators can help. You can go on to Hope's website, hopecommunities.org, to connect with the specific navigators, and their languages are listed under their name. But you also could reach out to the East Colfax Community Collective. They have recently gotten a grant to help residents from that East Colfax area who speak different languages. The grant allows them to pay for navigators with different linguistic abilities, and so if it's not one of the languages that we feature at Hope Communities, the East Colfax Community Collaborative could still potentially help you to access those funds. And if you want to go after application of the temporary rent and utility assistance yourself, you can just call 311 and then press 6 when prompted. And after you provide your zip code, they will connect you directly with the nonprofit that's administrating those funds for the area of town that you live in. So it's not too late to get those funds. You need to act if you have been in a precarious position and you don't have income. Don't want you to be in a position where your housing is not stable. Also, if you don't have enough income to pay your bills and you haven't done so yet, it's really time to consider applying for unemployment and maybe some other resources. So unemployment is still possible, even though the extra $600 a week that was provided through stimulus funds will be ending shortly. It is still important to get the unemployment to help pay the bills, to keep your household stably housed, and to also to be able to provide some of the other expenses that you have for food and utilities and for other bills that you have that are vital to your survival. So Navigators at Hope can help you apply for unemployment. Martina Torres, who was on the show several weeks ago talking about this, is really gifted at helping people with this problem. So if you want to try to talk with her, again, look on our website about us and then our team, and you can find contact information for Martina. If you want to go and apply for unemployment on your own, you can do that by going to coloradoui.gov. Fairly easily application. You can also call 303-318-9000. Even now, after they've bolstered the team there, it takes a long time sometimes to get a call back and to be able to work with someone on the phone. So if you can apply online, or if you can get help from a Hope Navigator or another staff person at another nonprofit, this is the time to try to go after that. I also think you need to be persistent in finding right employment now. So if you don't think you're going to get a chance to go back to your old job, if you think that your organization is really downsizing or shifting or even closing, and if you want to find another job, this is a great time to start looking. I know there's going to be more limited numbers of positions as businesses try to figure out how they are going to navigate this pandemic right now and the changes in the economy. But unemployment will not last forever, and it actually takes quite a while to not only get your resume and all of the materials together to look for a job and to search for the right job, but to go through the process of selection takes a while. So if you think that you're going to go into a new direction and you want to get work, there are jobs out there. I actually get an email list every Monday morning that has a lot of jobs across a huge spectrum of the economy. Lots of different types of jobs, different levels. So there are jobs out there. You just have to really be intentional about going after them. And of course, one of the first steps is to assess what your skills are, what you'd like to do, and then to look at your resume. We had Mary Putman on our show a few weeks ago, who works with Hope quite a bit to help people to find good employment and to retain employment. And so working with Mary through Hope or working through one of our navigators would be helpful. Martina again, Taurus, Amber Owens, Laura Frey from our staff, all have helped people to work on their resumes, to practice for interviews, to job search. It's a really great team, and I think even if at this point you want to decide a whole new direction, talk with someone. I mean, you can talk with your friends, but also talk with the navigator staff about where you might want to go with your future. And it could be that you go after a new type of job, or it could be that you go after a similar job that you've had while in the background you're working on new skills for something else that will be kind of maybe a life dream of yours, a different type of job that you'd like to go after. Now, I mentioned other resources. If you don't have income to support your household at this time, what are some of the other things that you might go after? You want to make sure that you have appropriate access to health care. Now, if needed, that might be physical health, well-being, it could be infant care, it could be mental health, lots of different things. And face it, it's a stressful time and people are worried about the virus, so you don't want to be caught without any health care at all. We had Allison Somerton on our show a few weeks ago. She's from the Aurora Mental Health Center, and she was talking about how to apply for different types of insurance. So going after Health First Colorado Medicaid, the Child Health Plans Plus, which a lot of people call CHIP, and then Connect for Health Colorado. It's a more of a marketplace type of insurance for people who make more money than Medicaid would allow, but maybe less than makes it reasonable for them to be able to get insurance, or maybe they don't have access to insurance through their jobs. So the Connect for Health Colorado has a full spectrum of plans that you can look at, and you could find out more information about that with connectforhealthco.com. It's a really great place. Just, if you have a little bit of downtime during this time, let's make sure that you've checked all the boxes, that you know you're going to have money for your rent, or you've gotten emergency funds to support that, that you are getting unemployment, or you're starting to look for another job, that you have health care, and also we want to make sure that you have enough food and nutritious food for your family. So you could also apply for SNAP. If you're in that position where you don't have enough income to support your household, you could apply for SNAP, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. It used to be called food stamps. And then there's also a WIC program. It's a food program for women, infants, and children that helps to give you funds so that you can buy nutritious food, again, to keep people in your household healthy and to give everybody the tools that they need to develop appropriately, physical health and your capacity, your thinking capacity. You need good nutrition for all of that stuff. So make sure that you apply for those, and if you need help, again, Hope Navigators can help you. We can also let you know where food banks are in Denver and Aurora. We also do distribute food ourselves each week. We bring fresh vegetables and fruit and household staples to our residents every other week, and then we coordinate with partners at this point to have food boxes and sack lunches brought to our properties, to our families, several times during the week. And so there's ample opportunity to get some support with food. If you need some help with that, email us at info@hopecommunities.org or reach out to one of our navigators. We definitely do not want our kids, our adults, our seniors, anyone to be hungry. So we want to help you through this period of time. Every Wednesday we're doing what we call tent talks at the Hidden Brook site in this East Colfax. So the tent talks are sessions from 10 to noon, and we have some tents set up in our community garden area, well-spaced tents, and we have different resources to distribute to residents or people from the neighborhood. We have community partners there who can help with lots of different issues that you might have. And then every other Wednesday, we're bringing all the fresh fruits and vegetables that families love to get. So you might want to consider coming to our Tent Talk program. Some of the partner agencies that come to that include the Spring Institute, which often provides information about healthcare and wellness. We have Right on Learning that is helping parents and families with technology support. The Denver Public Library's Plaza program is there, giving out books and other resources. We have Project Worthmore. And then we also schedule in other partners from time to time, and we'll do that at this point through August. We do require that everyone who comes into the garden area wear a mask and has their temperature taken, and if your temperature is over 100.4, you will not be allowed to come in. We want to keep everybody safe, and we need to keep our social distancing because we're doing our very best to bring people together in a very safe manner, and also to make sure that people have all of the resources they need. It's just one of the really innovative things that Hope staff have done to be able to provide that personal and tailored service to our residents and our clients who don't live at Hope Properties in a very safe way. So hopefully we will see you there. So as a part of every Facebook Live event, we are also sharing a book review that a member of our community, our staff, or volunteers do for us. Almost all the books that we share are available for download at the Denver Public Library because we know that people are not getting out and the library is not open now, and sometimes people just can't afford to keep buying books. So we try to do those downloads, and in fact the one today is downloadable from the Denver Public Library. If you would ever like to do one of these reviews yourself, let us know. Email us at info@hopecommunities.org. We'd love to get a videotape of you doing a book review sometime soon. So the book that we are highlighting today is called All the Light We Cannot See. It's written by Anthony Doerr. I reviewed the book myself, and it's an incredibly beautiful book that's set in Europe just before and during World War II. It highlights two individuals from very different worlds who collide unexpectedly as a result of the war. So we're drawn into the lives of Marie Laure Leblanc and also Werner Feffning and their families, and we travel with them across the continent of Europe, in Paris, Germany, in the coast areas of France, and it's a lovely book. Anthony Doerr is an exceptional writer. He used really detailed language and artistry to transform us from our own worlds into all of those other locations that I already mentioned. It's just a wonderful, wonderful book, and I hope that you get a chance to read it. But first, please listen to the review that will be posted on our Facebook page in just a little while. So take care of yourselves this week. Let us know if you need any help. It's been a pleasure to connect with you again, and hope to see you really soon. Bye-bye.